Creepy man in the elevator. This happened not too long ago, although not too crazy definitely had me freaking out after it occurred. Probably did not help that I frequent this sub often. I had just moved to a new apartment building, and it was my first time living alone. It was actually my first day, and I had moved my stuff in and headed to school, and was coming home for the evening. My parking is in an underground basement, which was scary as is for the first few days, so I would always leave my car and book it to the elevator so I could get the hell out. As I stood waiting, it was taking quite a while for the elevator to come down and I could hear it beeping on the different floors it was stopping at. Once it finally arrived, the doors opened and there was a tall guy that was clearly disheveled / on something. The minute I made eye contact with him my senses went off and I got the most uneasy feeling. I hesitated, as I was on the last floor so whenever someone was in the elevator, they were always getting out and I waited for him to do the same. Instead he just stood there staring at me and I managed to blurt out, "Are you going up?" He mumbled some sort of yeah. Alarm bells were going off but I thought maybe I was overthinking so I awkwardly walked in and stood against the wall as far as I could from him. I asked him what floor as there was no floor selected and he stuttered between numbers, and happened to say the same floor I was getting off on which scared me even more. I tried to not panic but as soon as I entered, I tried to keep my gaze down but he was just facing and starting at me with the most uncomfortable look in his eyes. The minute the elevator started going up, he started to shuffle and was moving towards me when it ended up stopping on the first floor on the lobby. I was in the left corner near the doors, and he was basically right in front of the door, stepping towards me when the doors opened. I was honestly freaking the actual hell out and as soon as the doors slid open, I scooched out and went straight out the doors onto the main street. I stood there for a few minutes with my heart pounding because of how scared I was, and I remember him staring at me confused for a minute, and then he stayed back in the elevator as the doors closed. I remember there were two guys standing by in the lobby who witnessed the whole thing, and I nervously laughed that I was just creeped out by a guy in the elevator. I believe they were just DoorDashers so they just stared at me and were like okay, LMAO. I ended up taking the stairs up and was scared out of my mind. I was praying he was just someone's guest, hence why he was so confused and weird. My dad came to visit me the very next day and I was telling him how badly that guy freaked me out and that same night, we ran into him again. He was waiting for the elevator and the minute I saw him I told my dad and made him take the stairs with me again. Thank God I haven't seen him again so I'm really hoping he was a guest but if I ever see an elevator with just one dude in it, I do not take the risk lol.